joining us for Talk Pittsburgh on this Tuesday, rolling right along.
Yeah, I'm excited for today. We have a lot planned this Tuesday, including a discussion on apps that let you bet on everything from politics to pop culture. Now, what are the risks that come along with prediction markets? Our tech expert is helping us dissect this new world of wagering.
And your teen says they're just gaming, but are they actually forming real connections online? How teens are really meeting and tips to talk about it without prying.
Plus, cursive is making a comeback in Pennsylvania schools while we're cheering for the return of fancy penmanship.
That and so much more coming up this hour. But first, your local headlines in under 90 seconds. Voters in the South Hills will decide who will fill a vacant seat in the State House.
It is special election day, and it is to fill a vacancy left by Dan Miller, who is becoming an Allegheny County Common Pleas judge. Who is on the ballot? That's the big question. Well, it is Jen Mazzocco and Joe Leckenby.
It's extremely good news, so it's a relief. It's been so distressing to see it rise for all those years.
After averaging 2 deadly overdoses a day, Allegheny County is now seeing rates dramatically decline. In the last 2 years, the county has seen a 30 to 40% drop of overdoses.
The bald eagles at U.S. Steel's Irvin plant have their second egg of the season. U.S. Steel says the first one arrived on Friday, the second arrived this afternoon. The happy couple is now keeping an eye on them until they hatch.
Getting ready for the NFL Combine, which starts tomorrow. And tomorrow, this place will be packed with media, coaches, general managers, doing interviews, talking about potential needs. Omar Khan will be here tomorrow, along with Mike McCarthy.
And Rich is actually going to have a special report just for Talk Pittsburgh tomorrow. We can't wait to share that with you. But today, we want to take it back to elementary school for a minute. Remember those cursive worksheets, all of the loops and curls? If you've still got your skills, it may come in handy for helping your kids. Mikey's breaking down why cursive is such a hot topic again.
Yeah, it sure is. Remember a few months ago when we talked about cursive possibly making a comeback, Heather? We even tried writing in cursive ourselves to see if we still had it. I must admit, I was just a little rusty. Well, Governor Shapiro passed a new law that requires Pennsylvania schools to teach cursive writing again as a part of their language arts instruction. State leaders say the goal is to make sure students learn how to read and write in cursive, something that largely disappeared after Common Core standards dropped in 2010. So why is it back now, especially in the age of laptops and texting? Studies say cursive actually supports learning. National Institutes of Health show writing by hand, especially in cursive, can improve memory, strengthen fine motor skills, and help students process and retain information. That's why nearly 20 states across the country are bringing back cursive requirements. Now, of course, there's a practical side to this too. Students will need to be able to sign their name and read historical documents. You know what, this makes me think of all of the subjects that went away when we were in grade school that might make sense to come back today. I was thinking like typing and all of this. Do you remember that?
I do.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, so like my kids are in grade school now.
Right.
I know Logan isn't there yet, but they're learning cursive.
Already?
Well, they have been. And that's the thing. I think that this is something that may have gone away for some schools, but not entirely. So I think for some parents, this isn't a big shock because they've been learning. I know my girls learned in Catholic school when they were there, and now in their current school, they are still learning. So it's happening. Maybe the curriculum hasn't been as extensive. Maybe it hasn't been a continuation. It's just one grade or one class. And I think that was kind of the downfall that we saw in school of some other classes, like I had one financial class in high school, and that was it.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that it shouldn't just be this one and done. It needs to be a continuation of that learning.
I tell you, my mom, she has excellent penmanship, and that did not pass down to me at all when we did that little skill test there. It was horrible. I could not remember how to write a lowercase z. Remember, it was so complicated. Like
it's a double. It's a double loop. It's the big loop, little loop.
Yes, the little loop.
And then it comes down.
Yeah, you were really good at it. Anyway, we want to bring in Meg Saint-Esprit. She often writes about parenting. She is a parent herself. So, of course, we want to get your opinion on all of this.
And we have some really important topics coming up later to talk with you about too. But we just thought this would be really interesting. So have your kids learned cursive? Did they learn it all in their schooling?
So my older 3 kids learned it in 2nd grade. And I actually remember we pulled our kids out in homeschool during the pandemic. So my teenager, I did the cursive book with him at home.
You remember this?
The handwriting without tears book, yes.
This makes sense because Sunny is in 2nd grade, so she is currently learning it, and she's bringing home those worksheets where it's the practice on doing each letter. So she has like a sheet on P.
Like the little dotted line, and you have to do it up above the line and below the line.
I'm so bad at it myself.
Gosh. What do you want to see come back to schools, like different classes that went away?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with cursive coming back. I know people say historical documents. I have to admit, I can't even read the Declaration of Independence anyways.
Sure.
But I think it's a good skill to learn, for sure.
Yeah.
And I have a 2nd grader, too, so they'll probably start that soon. I feel like it was like a spring thing. I feel like financial skills. I had to write a check yesterday for my kids' passports, and I almost had to Google how to.
Really?
Because when's the last time I wrote a check?
Right.
You know.
It doesn't happen that often anymore.
Yeah. No.
I did a story, and this was a number of years ago, but it was like one of the last remaining places that had a home ec course in high school, and they had a whole year dedicated to it. And I do feel like, you know, think of how many young adults don't know how to cook.
Right. Yeah.
They just don't even know how to do any of those basic skills.
Wait, so home ec is gone too?
In a lot of places. I mean, I think I had home ec in, I think, 8th grade.
I had it in 8th also.
Yeah. And that was it.
Yeah.
And then it was, again, it's like that one and done. And then if you don't retain those, if you don't keep those skills, you don't retain them. And so I think that that's the problem that we're seeing is that we're not setting kids up for life.
I agree.
It's just this like, okay, we'll teach you this one little skill and then you'll be done with it.
Do kids still take gym? Is that still a thing? And swimming and all of that? Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
I know, and I feel like even beyond just like the basic home ec skills, but even just like interpersonal skills, like, because they do so much touchscreen ordering, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like how to go up to a counter and talk to a customer service person respectfully. And like, in schools, I mean, there's only so many hours in the day.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like we got more of that because things were not remote.
It's not public speaking. Public speaking is a whole different genre of things, like skills. But I think that, yeah, you're right. Having those one-on-one conversations and knowing how to shake hands, make eye contact, do those things. It's almost like
I was going to say that. I mean, we're going to talk about this a little bit earlier, later. But in the age of tech and apps, like how to socialize, how to make friends, how to date, how to all of those things.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right.
Good stuff.
Thanks, Meg. Still to come on Talk Pittsburgh. Imagine being a young teenage girl with so many hopes and dreams for your future, but not knowing how to make them come true. Well, what if there was a workshop where that same teenager could learn skills, hear from industry leaders, and get a head start on their career path? There is, and we're talking all about it just ahead.
Plus, from bestsellers to blockbusters, Hollywood loves turning pages and premieres, but not every story survives the jump. Stick around to see which adaptations you say got it right in today's 3 o'clock drop.
And the secret to booking the best flight deal has changed. We're breaking down the new rules to save you money. That's next on Talk Pittsburgh.
Something we are starting Tuesdays here on Talk Pittsburgh. We are sharing tips, hacks, and ideas for saving money. And sometimes just a good sale that we don't want to gatekeep.
Yeah, so today we're talking about booking flights. Now, people are planning summer vacations right now, but when should you buy those airline tickets?
At one point, Tuesday was supposed to be the cheapest day to book. Well, things have changed, and it might surprise you. First, though, we're going to talk about money. How do airlines decide what to charge you for? Harvard Law News narrows it down to 3 main factors: demand, weather, and the time of year. For example, tickets to Miami this April cost under $200. But if you're flying July 4th weekend, you're looking at $600 for that same flight. The reason? You're hitting all 3 of the price factors here. High demand for the holiday, great beach weather, and of course, it's summer vacation season.
Wow, that's a big difference. All right, so how do you work the system and save money? First, the day to book is now Fridays, no longer Tuesday. That's according to NerdWallet and Expedia. But they say the most important factor is actually how far in advance you book. Now, the sweet spot is between 1 and 3 months, but if you're flying internationally, it's 2 to 8 months. So another tip here is avoid flying on Sundays and Mondays. They tend to be the most expensive days to fly domestically. Yes, very interesting. So now if you need to travel during the holidays, NerdWallet has an entire list of the best dates to book, and we're going to have a link to that on our website.
The thing that disappoints me the most about flying is that they have us.
They
I
do.
want to do a long weekend. You know, you want to fly like Friday to Monday or Friday to Sunday if you need a quick trip to go visit someone. And they know you're going to pay.
They know. That's when everyone has off. Makes sense. Gosh, so expensive.
Flying for a family of 5 is next to impossible. That's why we drive everywhere.
I would too.
For our
yeah, you guys
upcoming-
have so many people in your family.
Too many. There's too many. We're doing an upcoming spring break trip, and we're going to go see
we
the
were just talking
in-laws.
about this, right.
And instead, we looked at the cost of flying. It was like between $2,500 and $3,000 to fly to Florida.
$1,000?
We're not going tropical here. We're going to Florida. So we are now going to rent a car.
I thought you were going to say rent an RV.
No,
should
we
do
looked
that.
at that too. It's pretty expensive. So we are going to rent a car only because the minivan, she's in 6 years and a couple of Florida trips already.
Yeah.
We thought, you know what? We'll rent. We'll rent a big Suburban. We'll take it on the road.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, more family time, I think.
All right, next on the show, Mary is here with your forecast.
Yeah, we have some snow showers moving in tonight. That does cause some problems on the roads, but not the kind you're thinking of. Potholes. I'll explain how that science forms on the streets coming up.
Mary, I know a lot of storms are impacting the Northeast. I know we've escaped a lot of that, but we're still getting a lot of snow.
Yeah, we got pretty lucky for that for sure. And we do have a little bit of snow tonight, especially those Laurel Highlands and ridges. But that is great for skiers. So just putting a little positivity in this snow. We do have those temperatures. I mean, they're still going to be very cold, but then for Wednesday, we have temperatures right around 40 degrees, a little rain and snow, but I think this is pretty nice for skiers, especially Thursday. We're looking at temperatures upper 30s. It's all going to melt here soon.
Right.
So,
Well, that's some good news.
very soon.
You know, I think last week when we did see all of that melt, the one thing that was so completely obvious, the potholes that were left behind.
Ron and I were just talking. He was like, they're craters. Like
They're huge.
They're
Some of them are
so
massive.
bad. So how do they form? How do we get all of these potholes? Well, when we do start to see these temperature swings and a lot of that water out there, it seeps through the cracks in the road, and that collects underneath and it softens the road base. So then once the water then freezes, when we get below that freezing mark, it expands and it forces that pavement upwards. And then that adds on to pretty much stress onto it once that traffic goes all over it over and over again. And then the dry weather comes and then the water dissipates and then we have a hole. After that, the weight of the passing vehicles, it does cause that road surface then to collapse into the hole. So it is just a trifecta, and then we have those potholes that form. So even though, you know, we have a lot of them getting filled, it's just a never-ending cycle. So where that road collapses, you start to get, you know, it expanding over time. So we just keep getting these potholes and
So many.
it's wonderful.
We were heading towards the convention center the other day, and we were on Fort Duquesne Boulevard. And as you're getting closer to all that construction that they're doing, I mean, there's so much construction along Fort Duquesne and off on the side chutes, but like it was so bad. It was just a bumpy
Logan
ride.
says now.
I can't
just
avoid them.
Every pothole.
I always
bump,
hit them.
Bump.
So
Bump.
it's an interesting ride anyway.
It is.
So you're with Logan. All right, Mary, thank you so much.
All right, some stories are so good, they don't just live on your bookshelf, they end up on the big screen. And right now, Wuthering Heights is doing just that, pulling in more than $150 million worldwide so far.
Oh, yeah. So today's 3 o'clock drop is for movie buffs and bookworms alike. And we want to know what's the best book to movie adaptation. And filling in for Kiki today is Ron, who's a big fan of forecast and fiction.
Right.
I know you're dipping your toes back into reading. And you and I talk so much about shows and movies. And I know Mikey, too. So we thought you'd be a fun person to talk to about this.
Okay. Can I just say, go back to the potholes? I refuse to, there's one, I refuse to name it. You know, but it's so large at this point. I feel like it needs a name.
Where
but then
is
it
it?
might never. It's right when you're getting on the interstate going to the Fort Pitt Tunnel right there. It's
Familiar,
so big,
I know that
it
one.
might be wider than my vehicle.
Yeah.
You should name it. Do it
It will
today.
never go away if you do
Okay,
that.
so do you have a favorite book to movie or show adaptation?
You know, a lot of Stephen King movies,
Yeah.
love what he does. I think that really what we've seen kind of over the last couple of years is it seems Hollywood has really started to kind of get things going with understanding the dynamics of what makes a good book turn to a movie. The Hunger Games series, those are some of those also. That I love to see. I've already read the next one that's coming out this next year that is talking about, I believe it's Quarter Quell, That one, I've already read it and can't wait to see it on the big screen as well. So it's a lot of fun.
You know, here's the thing though, if you don't get it right, people will come for you.
Oh my goodness.
They will.
Yep.
I did not read The People We Meet on Vacation, but people who have were disappointed and how the movie ended up.
That was me with The Housemaid, and you have to remember, because I read the book and then saw the movie, and I was like, oh, the movie, it rushed everything. So so for every The Notebook, there's kind of like a Housemaid. For every that's a good movie.
There's a lot of bad.
There's The Dark Tower, it's Stephen King. Yeah, it's just not as good.
It's not as good. All right, well, let's get into these. Casey's Workshop says Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Oh, that's a good one.
Pulled no punches in the telling of the story, stayed in line with the book end to end, and Johnny Depp was awesome as Hunter's S. Thompson.
I think that was kind of one of his big roles that everyone remembers him starting out and saying, hey, this guy right here is going to be kind of sticking around for a while.
I did not read that book, but I feel like I want to.
No, I just have seen the movie. I have not read the book as well, but yeah, the movie's fantastic.
Straight Out of Pittsburgh says, I'll respond with 2 films made in Pittsburgh, Silence of the Lambs and Perks of Being Wallflower. One turned Pittsburgh into something dark, tense, and unforgettable. The other captured what it actually feels like to grow up here. The tunnels, the bridges, the soundtrack, the emotion. Both are great.
Can we just give props to that name as well, Straight Out of Pittsburgh?
I know, right?
So good.
I'm so jealous. Why did I think about that?
Patrick Zeev says The Shawshank Redemption. That is a classic.
I mean, how many times have you guys seen that movie?
So many times.
Anytime it's on, Frankie puts it on.
Yes, you can't turn it off.
You can't. He says it's amazing that the movie was a flop when it first came out. I didn't know that. Yet now mention it to anyone and they instantly know it. The movie sort of redeemed itself, ironically.
Okay, so it either came out in 94 or 95, and if you know that period of time, there was like 10 to 15 of the best movies ever made that came out. It might have been that stretch, I believe, where Jim Carrey had like Dumb and Dumber, Liar, Liar, like all of those. He had 3 blockbusters by himself in a year.
Was this Ace Ventura, Pet Detective?
Yeah, Pet Detective was one of them, right. So, I mean, you had so many good movies. It was so easy. Tombstone, which is one of my favorite movies.
Oh my gosh, I love Tombstone.
So it was very easy to kind of overlook The Shawshank Redemption when it came out because, there was so many good movies that year.
Okay,
good time.
Jessica Ray says Catherine Stockett's The Help. She quotes it, and of course, Minnie's chocolate pie scene translates beautifully on screen. This is a good one, and I know a lot of people who love the book too.
Okay. I have not seen that movie, but it's now on my list.
I watched it with my grandmother.
Okay. Oh.
Really good. Yeah.
Cute.
You okay?
I'm okay. Yeah.
Do we need a moment? I'm just making sure.
It was a deep movie. It really was. So I'm good.
Hopefully there's no too spicy of a scene.
Oh
there.
no, that's not a spicy movie.
It's not a spicy movie, Ron. Watch it with your grandma.
What's going on with you?
I just had to say it. You're with your grandmother. That'd be great.
But she does like a little spice, though. I don't know. All right.
No, Mikey's grandma.
PGA's girl 412 Becky. This says The Outsiders. It was required reading in high school. A little sleeper movie adaptation of the novel was made in 1983.
I was about to say, that's and I wonder. I think I've heard buzz that they might be redoing that movie.
Oh, interesting.
So I'm not. I'll have to go and check, but I believe that there has been some talk and maybe a redo there.
Yeah, it's on Broadway right now.
Alante's giving us all the toots in our ears.
It's Patrick Swayze. Oh, man, I love Patrick Swayze.
Good stuff. Ron, I'm glad you could join in this conversation with us.
Anytime.
All right. Still to come on Talk Pittsburgh. From what candidate will win to the next election to which movie will top the box office, people are betting on the future like never before. Ahead, Dr. Jess is here to explain prediction markets and why they're so popular now.
And a kid-friendly series giving kids a front row seat to the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra is back this weekend. Next, we'll introduce you to the mascot conducting all the fun. A really fun family event is coming up this weekend. The Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra's kid-friendly concert series continues their season with American tunes. And the whole thing is orchestrated by a feline in a very fine coat. Boaz introduces us to Fiddlesticks.
The Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra has a rich legacy that goes back over 120 years. They've toured all the concert halls in Europe, they've recorded dozens of albums, and won multiple Grammys, and, in my opinion, they have one of the best orchestra mascots in the world. This is Fiddlesticks, and since the early 1990s, this flugelhorn-loving feline has been hosting his own brand of concerts right here in Heinz Hall.
During a Fiddlesticks family concert, kids have free reign of the place. They can make musical crafts, get up close and personal with instruments, and of course, hear the PSO perform a show that's a little more interactive than usual. Fiddlesticks, or FID for short, is passionate about music and music education. He even prepared a little class for me. Today's symphonic lesson, the 4 parts of the orchestra. Turns out that each of the orchestra's sections has a distinct role and sound. The brass section is the loudest part of the orchestra, so loud that they're always placed at the back of the stage, farthest from the audience. FID introduced us to Doug Rosenthal, the associate principal trombone at the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra. Doug's been playing since he was a kid, and he was first turned on to brass while watching a scene from Disney's The Jungle Book.
The bear in the New Orleans-style band played the trumpet. When it came time to pick an instrument, I immediately gravitated towards the brass. I ended up becoming a trombone player. And then I just kind of never stopped.
Well, I've met a lot of mascots, but Fiddlesticks, I think you're the first mascot I've met who has their own theme song. And I was wondering, Doug, could you play us a bit of that theme song?
Ooh, I think we could arrange for this, but Fiddlesticks, I'm going to need you to dance along with it.
Okay.
FID attempted to teach me some of the very complicated theme song choreography. Next, FID introduced us to the woodwind section of the orchestra. This section sits in the middle of the orchestra and includes flutes, oboes, clarinets, and bassoons.
Oh wow, they're really beautiful. They're just so intricately made.
Fun fact, not every woodwind instrument is made out of wood. The third section of the orchestra is the string section. And Fiddlesticks led us behind the scenes for this one.
Wow, so this is what backstage at the orchestra looks like. Very cool. Bravo, that was great. Well, I ran into my neighbor here, who also happens to be part of the PSO.
My neighbor, Jen Orchard, has played violin for the PSO for over 20 years.
Can you tell me about your particular instrument that you play?
It was made in 16, they don't really know if there's some paperwork that says 1680, but it was just assessed recently and they said it's probably earlier than that.
It's like older than America.
Yes, it is.
The fourth and final section of the orchestra is the percussion section.
Percussion includes a lot of things. I don't even know what all these things are. There are cymbals. This is sort of a xylophone, glockenspiel, marimba. They're tambourines. They're triangles.
There are hundreds of percussion instruments, and depending on the musical pieces they're playing, the PSO percussionists could have any range of drums or chimes or gongs back here.
I can use this to like clean your ear a little bit.
So we learned about the 4 sections of the orchestra, but that's not all. There's another crucial part of the orchestra, and FID wanted us to meet them.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Boaz.
Hi, Boaz. Nice to meet you. My name is Moon.
Maestro Moon Do is associate conductor of the PSO, and though he never imagined that part of his job would entail performing with a giant cat on stage, he really appreciates how special these Fiddlesticks concerts are.
I love it when the audience members have just as much energy as we do.
Yes, the energy can be contagious. Over the past 3 decades, FID has shared the wonder of orchestral music with tens of thousands of young Pittsburghers, and he's got no plans of stopping. Fiddlesticks explained that music never gets boring. There's always more to discover and learn, and there's always new music being written. Good thing this cat's got big ears and 9 lives. Well, that's all for meow.
So clever. We're going to have a link to this weekend's Fiddlesticks concert at kdqa.com/talkpittsburgh. Ahead on the show, Mikey's got some good news to share today.
Yes, we're kicking off the second half of the show with the stories that are making us smile this afternoon, including a local cat who's gone viral and a local garden that's growing despite the cold. Talk Pittsburgh. We'll be right back. Welcome back to to Talk Pittsburgh. Thank you for spending your afternoon with us.
Ahead this half hour, sports betting isn't the only game in town anymore. Stick around to see how this new world of the poly market is changing the way people gamble.
And how local young women are preparing for their futures. First, let's get into some good news that has us talking.
And we are starting with a local woman who's a TikTok sensation now, along with her cat.
What is going on here? Mom, that's your chair. And I can't pick her up because she might scratch me. Oh my God. What are you? You think you're Queen Bee? You're a Queen Bee. There you go.
Yeah, as she is inching down the stairs, known as Mama Lou 95 on TikTok, she's amassed almost 7 million views on this video. I feel like we need to meet Mama Lou.
Yes, this is so
and
funny.
The cat too.
All of them. All right, and some good news for a local organization. Grow Pittsburgh says they're growing. This is video from 2022 when Selena Pompiani Matheson visited one of their gardens in Point Breeze. Now, Grow Pittsburgh creates urban farms, distributes food, and helps teach students about gardening. They recently announced a partnership with Edgar Snyder and Associates that Grow Pittsburgh says will help them expand all of their efforts. Now, Women's History Month is coming up in just a few days, a time to honor women who have changed the world. But right now, we are focusing on the women of tomorrow.
Because they're going to do it one day
right.
for us. That's where the Empower Her Summit comes in, giving high school girls from Western PA and Northern West Virginia a hands-on experience in leadership and life skills. One past attendee called it a must-attend event for any young woman serious about her future.
Here to tell us more is Patrice Matamoros of Junior Achievement and Amy Kimball of Capex Consulting. Thank you both for being here. Now, Patrice, you have seen a lot of women come through this program. What does it do for their futures?
It actually gives them so much confidence about what they're going to be doing in the future. A lot of girls think they need to have it all figured out by the time they hit 18. And this is an opportunity for them to hear from other professionals that show that our paths are all zigzagged. That we never usually go from this to this to this. It's always we meander through our life.
I think this is such an important time, too, to have young women come together, because we know how difficult middle school and high school can be for young women. I mean, let's be honest, middle school, the girls were not always nice to each other. So I think finding some commonality and some confidence building with each other can be massively important for them.
It is. It's actually really, really important. And one of the big things that the girls love during this day is that we break them up into other peer groups so that they're not necessarily with their friends. So they're experiencing a totally different dynamic. And they're getting to practice networking skills. They're getting to practice having conversations with people that they don't know, as well as women who are there to support them.
Yeah, and Amy, why is mentorship from older women in particular so important for these young girls?
Young girls need somebody to look up to who they can see themselves in eventually, because in this time where they're younger and they're trying to figure out who they are, the more they can see and the more they can experience and have somebody guide them throughout that process, it gives them confidence to be able to say, hey, whatever I'm going through now, I can get to that place where they are.
Yeah, it's like we think as younger women, I'm gonna go back to those days, you think you have it all figured out.
Right.
And you don't wanna listen to your older, like your parents or whoever it may be. It's like they've already done that. They've already experienced all of it. If you would just listen, they could tell you, they could help guide you through things.
Yeah. I have a teenage girl and I wish she listened more than she does. But I think it is the more that these young women see themselves and see what could be possible in the future and seeing different paths that they can take and exploring different interests, it really gives them confidence for what they're going to be later on.
And this year's summit's going to be at Duquesne University.
Yes.
So what can people expect from it?
So people can expect, it's going to be an amazing day. We have over 300 girls who are registered to be part of the day. We have probably half a dozen of different speakers. We have panels that day. We have opportunities for the girls to interact and network with each other. We'll also have interactive stations so that they can take photos together and they can just have some fun for that day. But it's also about, what are they learning from experientially when they get to see people doing things that maybe they never even knew that was a job.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember feeling this pressure when I was in high school, just the pressure to have it all figured out. And I don't think that that's a reality anymore, especially with the way the job market is changing and AI coming into the picture. What do you hope girls hear about this program and the message that you want them to take away from this?
I'd love for them to see they don't have to have all of the answers right now, and that the more they explore and the more they fail and are uncomfortable, they'll become more comfortable of what's going to happen in the future. And so I think that they don't need to know it all right now. They don't have to figure it out all right now. That sometimes it takes people a long time till they find what their passion is, what their interests are, and who they're really meant to be later.
Yeah, and you learn failing is a part of the journey, right? It's a tough lesson, but everyone goes through it.
Yeah. Wonderful stuff. It's going to be a great event. Thank you both for being here and talking to us about it.
Thank you. All right, if you would like to learn more about the Empower Her Summit coming up on March 6th, we'll have that information for you on our website.
And let's talk about our Junior Achievement Question of the Week. You know, women make up less than 5% of skilled trade workers in the U.S. So we want to hear from you. What would actually help more young women picture themselves in these careers? Getting hands-on experience, meeting women already doing the job, hearing about the pay and job security, or more support and guidance in high school? You can weigh in, scan the QR code on your screen right now, or go to kdka.com/connect.
All right, still to come on Talk Pittsburgh. If your teen is online, they're making connections. From Snapchat to Discord, we're digging into how online friendships can suddenly turn romantic and how parents can keep it safe.
But first, Dr. Jess Galante breaks down prediction markets that are letting people bet on outcomes like never before. Find out how these platforms work and what they could mean for your wallet.
First, it was fantasy leagues, then sports books. Now it's a constant stream of live odds, push alerts, and instant bets.
And with March Madness about to tip off, sports gambling and betting apps are gearing up for their busiest season. Since 2018, legal sports wagers in the U.S. have jumped from under $5 billion annually to more than $150 billion, largely thanks to apps that make placing a bet as easy as texting your friend. Downloads of betting apps have soared as much as 500%, and mobile platforms now account for roughly 90% of all bets.
And the story doesn't stop at sports. A new category called prediction markets lets people put money on the outcome of almost anything.
Dr. Jess Galante is helping us dissect how this new era of gambling is reshaping risk and reward. We know that this is all kind of, while it might be fun and well for some, for others it could be a very dangerous environment to enter into. Can you tell us what Polymarket is? I had not heard of this one.
Yeah, so Polymarket is one of the platforms, one of the more popular platforms for these prediction markets. They're a tech company, and they basically operate in a way that allows you to place a wager on just about anything. The color dress that a celebrity will wear on a red carpet, whether or not someone will say a certain word during a live award show, sporting relating things, all things like that.
So this is similar to like at the Super Bowl, you might be able to place a wager on the coin toss.
Yes.
So it's something as small as that, only on a daily basis kind of thing.
Yes, absolutely. So it could be the coin toss. It could also be something like, for example, the halftime show. People bet, I think it was $4 billion on elements of the halftime show that they predicted would happen.
Wow.
Someone actually made $400,000 making a bet right before the halftime show that Lady Gaga would be one of the surprise guests and that she would sing Die With a Smile.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what, this makes a lot of sense because, I mean, even when Jordan and I, we go to the Steelers games, or even if you're watching it on TV, you often see people not even paying attention to the game. Like, everyone is glued to their phone because, I mean, maybe they're betting. I mean, I know sports betting, that's popular, but people are betting on everything now.
They could be. And I think, you know, there's a real risk if you don't have to go in person to a racetrack or actually call up a bookie. There's a real risk that you're going to overdo it and that we know that gambling is highly addictive.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of concerns about this kind of cascading the normalization of gambling into every facet of life.
Well, I was going to say, it's one thing if you are placing like a random bet, but if it is something that you're doing every day, you could potentially lose a lot of money if you're not monitoring yourself.
Yeah.
And that's something else I wanted to talk about because we know in Pennsylvania there are state laws with the lottery. I mean, we know that there are regulations and some rules with some of this stuff, but does that also apply to some of these online platforms?
It does, but the challenge is in terms of enforcement. So derivatives laws are federal laws that basically ban insider trading. And one of the real concerns about the poly market or about these prediction markets, whether it be Kalshi or the poly market, those are the most popular ones, are that people will take information that they hold confidentially and use it to their personal advantage. And because some of these bets are placed using cryptocurrency, you can be fairly anonymous in placing that bet. 12 hours before President Nicolas Maduro was removed from office by special forces from the United States, someone placed a very large bet in the prediction market.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
So a lot of us didn't even know that stuff was happening.
Exactly. And if people are taking top secret classified information that they have access to, they're potentially endangering our troops. They're endangering U.S. foreign policy and our military.
Yeah, let's go to even more downsides of this. I mean, there has to be, if people can bet on anything, it just feels like it's taking the joy out of what would just be a normal, event or an occurrence. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like if we can bet on anything, then is nothing sacred? Is nothing, I mean, historically in, Rome, they would bet on who the next pope would be, or they'd bet on gladiator fights in ancient Rome. So betting has been around for a long time, but the pervasive way that you can do it constantly has not.
I want to talk to you about, you're a professor, you teach college-age students, and we know that sports betting has been a big, it's a big topic among young men in college specifically, this targeted age group. Are you talking to them at all? Is there anything that you're seeing among students in this category?
Yeah, they're definitely not just sports betting, they're also like day trading using these different apps. They're constantly, I think that the fact that our glowing dopamine screens in our pocket are able to kind of make us want to form a habit, it's that much more of an even deeper addictive kind of runway when you are going to these places where you could potentially have a huge windfall.
Right.
So yeah, my students have actually I teach all sorts of classes, including public speaking, and some of them have given instructional tutorials on how to make money using these kinds of sports betting apps.
Interesting. Yeah, it's definitely something that's happening and something we should be talking to our kids and young adults about for sure. Thank you so much.
Conversation. All right, Dr. Jess is conducting a lecture on news and digital literacy this Thursday at the Mount Lebanon Public Library. We're going to have more details for you on our website.
And still to come on the show, KDKA's Christine Sorensen is standing by in the newsroom with the stories you don't want to miss tonight on the KDKA Evening News.
And journalist Meg Saint-Esprit is here with tips for keeping your teen safe in online chats. Talk Pittsburgh. We'll be right back.
Today, we are diving into a topic a lot of parents are quietly worried about, where their teens are actually connecting online and how to guide them without snooping or spiraling.
And it turns out it's usually not traditional dating apps. Journalist Meg Saint-Esprit is here with what every parent needs to know. And I feel like there are so many different apps where kids and teens can be talking online. What are some of the top places where these conversations are happening?
That's what surprised me, because when I first started digging into this topic, I was thinking of, Hinge, Bumble, the things that adults use. A lot of those have an age restriction. Of course, kids get around everything, but most teens, they're not using those. And really, we're talking about teens like high school age. My oldest is in 8th grade, he's a teenager. This is not our world yet. It's more like Snapchat, Discord, Xbox chat. They like a game together. They have similar shared interests, and they're connecting that way.
Connecting like romantically? Is this what we're talking about?
So yeah, 25% of teens around there say that they have met someone online that they've had a romantic interest in, and about 10% have actually initiated either like meeting up in person or like starting to FaceTime or something like that.
I think with every generation, we are worried about the next wave of technology or advancements. So I want to be very careful in how I approach this with my kids. I'm sure that you're kind of coming up into that age. Like, if this is what they're doing, we want to kind of meet them where they are, but give them guidelines and safeguards.
Yeah, and every time we've talked about tech on this show, we've talked about it like floaties or training wheels. When you get into teens, that's even more true, and we're starting to take those off and starting to have more real conversations with them.
Okay, I need to know, who are they talking to? Because I would just assume if they're in high school or middle school or whatever, they have their peers. Like, there's so many kids to interact with. Why do they need to be online?
And it really is some of these niche interests. There's a couple like quirky games kids play, and they have a friend across the country who's the only other person they've met that's really interested in like medieval history, or it can be some of those things, or it's just like other school districts. We're in a small school district, but my older kids meet kids from neighboring districts.
What the football games were for.
I know, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think that some of this socializing is still happening, and that's why it's so important to have these conversations, because I do think if we set ourselves in this old school way, like, well, you have to, like, why aren't you going and hanging out in person? Like, this is where they are. So I'm seeing it already with my 6-year-old, who will FaceTime our neighbor, and it's a snowy day, and they will FaceTime and play a game online together. So they're socializing, they're talking, they're interacting, but they're doing it all in this virtual kind of way.
How often are these romantic relationships happening? Is this kind of like the circle yes or no? Do you want to be my girlfriend, boyfriend? Or is this like because I would assume that some of this messaging and these conversations, they're somewhat private, and they can probably get away with a lot.
Yeah, and that's the thing with teens. With younger kids, we have lots of parental controls. We use Verizon Family Plus. That's who I wrote about this for. We also use Apple Family Settings. As you get into teenage years, though, you need to start trusting your kids more and leaning more into conversations like, hey, I've noticed you've been on your phone a lot late at night, and you get that data from these parent apps. Who you've been chatting to, rather than like, I saw you texting a new number and I want to know, because we've been teenagers, that makes you shut down.
All right, so we have some tips here. So and is this something that we are checking as parents or just checking in with our kids about?
Yeah, I think when we're talking with teens, you definitely want to have those safety settings, but it's more about open-ended questions and checking in. Who are you talking to? Who are you interested in?
Chats.
Yeah.
And look for secrecy, sudden withdrawal, that sort of thing too. Like if you see them kind of like hiding behind a closed door a lot, maybe time to check in with them.
Yeah, or even I've seen, and not related to dating, but just times where my kids might be a little close with their device and it's been like a friend drama. Just pay attention. If your kid does not want you to walk by and see what's on their screen, check in.
Yeah, it's time. Okay, open communication, got to keep it that way. Thank you so much, Meg. Really important.
All right, we're going to have a link to Meg's article on our website, kdka.com/talkpittsburgh.
Right, taking a moment to find out what you can expect to see on KDKA TV News tonight at 4, 5, and 6.
Christine Sorensen is in our newsroom with some of the stories our news team is working on. Christine?
Yeah, good afternoon. I love that information. Thank you, Meg. Let's talk about some stories coming up this afternoon. First, Pennsylvania is currently battling a bird flu outbreak. More than 7 million birds have died in the state just this year. That's according to the U.S. Agriculture Department. Most of the cases have been in central and eastern PA, but the State Game Commission is now warning people to be on the lookout for sick wild birds everywhere, all across the state, not just on farms. We're going to explain what they want you to watch out for. Plus, Governor Shapiro is meeting with a host of experts today to discuss what can be done to try and bring the outbreak under control before there's a huge impact on poultry and egg prices. Also coming up, we've reported time and again on the nationwide shortage of teachers right now. More and more teachers are leaving classrooms, while fewer and fewer students are choosing to major in education, and that's leaving a lot of schools in desperate need of teachers. So we'll tell you about the new program one local college is launching to try to turn the tide on that and get more students interested in a career in education. And as you know, America is turning 250 years old this year, and there are so many events and celebrations. But what about the next 250 years? Local leaders and activists met today to talk about what they're calling a new Declaration of Independence. We'll tell you what that's all about coming up.
Really interesting. Thanks, Christine.
All right, well, still to come on Talk Pittsburgh, we're wrapping things up with what's ahead on tomorrow's show. That's next.
Welcome back. We'll wake up tomorrow morning to a few light snow showers, and temperatures will actually be a little bit warmer, especially warmer than what we had this morning, into the mid to upper 30s, so that'll factor in our snow amounts. You'll see it in the grassy surfaces, some wet roadways, but then we're back to the mid 40s into the afternoon.
All right, we'll take mid 40s.
Yeah.
Something to look forward to, yes.
Yep. Thank you, Mary. Coming up tomorrow on Talk Pittsburgh, it is Wellness Wednesday. Do you want a healthier heart without overhauling your whole life? We've got simple, mindful tricks that can actually make a difference. From managing stress to boosting your mood, our expert breaks down what really works.
And One Bridge, Two Communities, how a connection between a pair of Pittsburgh neighborhoods is creating new opportunities to come together.